I want to go a little bit deeper with the plant immune function. So here we're talking about the fact that there's some disease to begin with that triggers the everyday immune aspect of the plant. We can also trigger the adaptive immune aspect by the use of foliar sprays, and the reserve energy is coming from the fungi. This is a kind of a plant pathology mini lesson. So plants respond to some leaf spotting with one particular phytochemical pathway that's passed on to other parts of the plant and passed on to plants further away through the mycelium. And they respond to certain influences to prepare themselves. So one is reality, environmental reality, and the other involves certain things that kindle the plant being healthier. The first is called systemic acquired resistance. And the key takeaway here is the fact that something needs to happen. There's an insect bite, there's a fungal pathogen, there's a bacterial pathogen that lands on the plant and tries to get in. This kicks off what's called the salicylic acid pathway. And that in turn can be very effective at negating immediate threats. But it doesn't happen unless the plant experiences environmental reality. And the upshot here is that we benefit from the plant experiencing environmental reality as well. I have these green men on my barn wall, and these green men tend to have little quotes now and then. This green man is saying, "What do spots have to do with healthy apples?" This is only up when I'm willing to answer the question. But this is a really engaging question for a customer to come in and say, "I want spots? What do you mean I want spots?" And my answer is that when this apple on the branch of this tree experiences a scab pathogen trying to get in, and I don't want it to get out of hand, that in turn sends this phytochemical signal to all the apples on that tree, and through the mycelium to the apples in the next tree. And they may be spotless, but because there's some modicum of disease triggering systemic acquired resistance, the chemicals produced are what we, as a human species, utilize to ward off degenerative disease. So you all know the saying, an apple a day will keep the doctor away. Well, today, with the way most of our produce is grown, that saying might be more appropriately said, 64 apples a day keep the doctor away. Maybe it's 128, who knows? But the point is, when we medicate with lots of fungicides, and you can do that organically as well as chemically, we're telling the plant, that apple tree, relax, don't worry about this. I've got it under control. You don't have to produce those phytochemicals to resist disease. And we, in turn, have emptier fruit that makes our bodies less resistant to disease. And if you think about it, you can kind of see how industrial agriculture and modern medicine work hand in hand. We have to get back to that point of deeper nutrition. But that's what is happening with systemic acquired resistance. Induced systemic resistance is where we get into the adaptive aspects of all this. And this is only possible in a living soil ecosystem. This is only possible with the fungal connections. And so, going back to that earlier slide about spray medicines being used for nutritional and biological deficiencies, it's all coming back. It's all looping together under this banner. This is what is known as the jasmanic acid defense pathway. And there's two forms of elicitors I'm going to focus on. One is what I spray on the tree. That triggers this response. And the other is those fungi getting into the cells of the root. That triggers this response. This is the phytochemistry that's going to prepare the tree for whatever comes. And the important takeaway with this is that activating multiple mechanisms activates a stronger response. So that in turn suggests, what are those elicitors? What can we utilize to make this happen? Microbes are in this group. The chemical constituents and different herbs are in this group. Compost teas are another way of introducing those microbes. Minerals, whether that's something like ocean water in the form of sea crop or There's a phosphorus-based one too, I forget its name right now. Seaweed, kelp extracts, all these things elicit this response. So when we talk about diseases, there is this notion that, oh, disease happens, it's kind of like you gotta spray, you gotta get into fungicides growing fruit. No. What we have to recognize is all of this springs from around we cannot see. It's natural to get fearful about it. I'm going to spray sulfur. Oh, it's going to rain tomorrow. I'm going to spray sulfur again. And we're acting way in front of what actually happens. But in truth, we're forgetting all of these different fungi. Not just the mycorrhizae, not just the saprotrophic decomposing fungi, but on the plant surface itself is a world of microbes. The single cellular yeasts that allow cider to ferment, epiphytic fungi that are underneath the bark. All of this is part of the way a tree and nature maintains health. And when we destroy it for the 5% that we might call pathogenic fungi, we're knocking all that out. And it comes full circle on us.